What's going on, guys? It's Ed here from ClicksGeek. It is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, December 22nd, and just going live again. My second time ever going live here on YouTube. I want to see if anyone shows up. I think yesterday we had 2 people on total. So I see I've got somebody that just popped into the room. Tell me who you are in the chat. Just want to tell you about a book I'm reading right now. About 3/4 of the way through this book. It's called Systemology. It's about creating systems in your business. Interesting thing about this one, the author is David Jennings, and he owned, I don't know if he still does or if he sold it, but he owned a pretty decent sized SEO agency in Australia. And he goes back through that a lot in describing different parts of this book. And I thought it was really interesting. So coming from the digital marketing world, I like hearing his perspective in this book. And yeah, that's it. So right now we're done onboarding clients for the new year. We had a really busy December. I think total we brought on 15, 16, 17 clients, something like that. I have to go back and look at the numbers, but very busy December. What up, my dude? Nice. Let me know. What's your question? Ask a question. Just saw uptown, downtown. Drop a comment in there. Ask your questions. Fire away. I'm happy to answer anything. So we took on 15, 16, 17 clients for the month of December. Pretty busy month. Last month we took on, I want to say, mid 20s, like 25, 26 clients. Very busy month. Big mix. It was actually more than that. I take that back. I'll get you an official answer on that, but it was actually a lot more than 25, and it was a lot more than 15 now that I'm thinking about it, because one agency brought on a bunch at once. All right, so we got some questions in here. How much does it cost to start a marketing agency? I want to run Google ads for local hair salons. All right, Brody, what's up, man? Okay, so what does it cost? It's free. It doesn't cost anything to start an agency. If I was starting an agency, what I would do, let's see, years ago, I wrote an article on, I think it was techno something or other. I'll dig up and try to find the article, but it basically walked through the pieces of software that we use to start the agency. We keep things really lean in our business. We like to keep our expenses as little as possible. Our biggest expense is our salaries that we pay ourselves. Outside of that, we keep our overhead and our software costs as low as possible. It all depends on the route you want to go. Some agencies want to take on the cost of, say, CallRail for call tracking or any third-party call tracking, landing page software, reporting software. I mean, really, you could launch an agency if you wanted to take on those couple of things for a couple $100 a month. And you don't need them day one. You could always get them as you take on clients and then have them, that revenue pay for it. You don't even need to do that, really. You could have your clients paying for all that stuff. It just depends on what level of service you want to offer. So when my partner and I got together, I think we each put $500 into a business account, and that's how we started the business, if I'm not mistaken. So cost us $1,000 to start it, but reality, out of the gate, you're going with sweat equity. You're working your tail off. You're gonna want to really get comfortable with selling, because you are going to be selling. You are the core at the back end. You're the PPC manager, but you've got to be able to sell that service to get people to actually give you the clients, give you the accounts to actually manage. So, so let me think here. Couple good books. One book, Power Phone Scripts, is a really good book. And the reason I always say that book is because that was one of the books that taught me that everything is formulaic in sales, and that there are no new questions out there. There are no new answers. Everything has been done before, and you're going to find that you get the same questions over and over again. So if you can go through that book and start formulating answers so you can get comfortable with it. Another really cool tool is Jordan Stupar's Cash Cards, which is a deck of cards, and each card has different rebuttals you're going to get in the sales process. So we're happy with who we have, and then you go on the back, and it's got a word track that you can memorize and use on the go as you need it. I need to think about it. I need to talk to my spouse. The price is too high, so on and so forth. Awesome cards. Definitely worth the value. They're like $25. Really good product. We're in his sales training as well. I definitely recommend that as well. Another book, if you're starting out as an agency, I would recommend is selling. I think it's called Selling Local Advertising. It's by Claude Whitaker. I actually have the book downstairs in my car. I was reading it last night. It's Claude Whitaker. I interviewed him on our channel maybe about 7 months ago. Dude is awesome. He's a beast. He was a vacuum. He owned a vacuum franchise and sold high-end vacuum, like $1,000 vacuum pieces of equipment, vacuums that were about $1,000, and he'd sell them in home. And he got into local marketing or local advertising sales after that, SEO, web design, that kind of stuff. And his book is excellent. So I think between the two of those will put you on a good path in terms of sales knowledge. And then in terms of Google Ads knowledge, our channel, you got Google Ads Academy, which when you're going through the certification process, go through all that. Once you've passed your certification, check out our channel. There's literally hundreds of videos on how to build and manage campaigns. And then you see all of our case study videos. You actually see inside of accounts that are successfully being run, how we manage them, how we optimize them, what they look like, how they're structured. So you can kind of get a feel for it. It's not, there's the theoretical, then there's the actual live application of it. So being able to see underneath the hood of a live functioning successful campaign is important. And I think that's, important, especially someone on the newer end. What else can I tell you? So CallRail, landing page software, some books to get you launched, reporting software. So something simple like Swidoo. I don't know how to say the name correctly, if it's Swidoo or Swidoo. Agency analytics is another option. They're going to be a couple bucks per report per month. Try to take as much of this stuff in-house as possible and have it as a value add for your customer. So the reporting, the CallRail, landing page, things like that make you kind of a one-stop shop for them. It's easier. It's not only easier from a sales perspective, but also from a management perspective. If you're able to control more pieces of this, more variables that could potentially go wrong, if you have the ability to control that, it makes your life a lot easier. Call tracking is a huge piece. It must be involved. Landing page software, in our opinion, it must be involved. And being able to tweak that landing page is very important. Simple tweaks on a landing page could take it from 10% to 30%, or 20 to 40, or 5% to 10%. And those are big levers. Those are big things, because those represent, hundreds of percent increases in performance. So how's that for a fucking ramble? What else you got? Facebook ads versus Google ads. Great question. So two different mediums, two different ad platforms totally. What I will say is, if the niche you're thinking of goes to Google to look for the service, then you're going to want to go use Google ads for that. So for example, people aren't necessarily searching around. They're not browsing Facebook looking for a divorce lawyer. They have a divorce, pending divorce. They go to get a divorce lawyer. They've got a DUI. They go and get a DUI attorney on Google. They have a tax issue. They look on Google for a tax advisor. They have a leaky roof. They go on and Google that. Now, Facebook, something that would be more applicable there would be kind of your wants. If I could describe it real quick, it'd be like your wants would be on Facebook, your needs would be on Google. And now that's not a one size fits all. It's just a quick way to think about it. So I want Botox. I want a Ferrari. I want a gym membership. Well, actually, I need a gym membership, but I want a gym membership. I want personal training, things like that. Or I need a roof. I need plumbing. Those are things I'd go to Google for. So Google's all intent based. I can make a case for either. I'm a Google Ads guy. My partner's a Google Ads guy. So that's what we know. We like the intent behind it. It's easy for people to wrap their heads around. Having said that, I know tons of guys that do really well selling Facebook ads. Nice thing about Facebook ads is you can get a good management fee, and their ad budget doesn't need to be huge. $500, $1,000, $2,000 doesn't need to necessarily be as large as it would for Google. So I can make a case either way. It's just whatever you're comfortable with. Another option I'll throw out there, if you're really comfortable, I was talking to somebody yesterday. He called in to ask some questions. And if you're comfortable with Facebook ads, take a look at YouTube ads. YouTube, the platform is very similar to how you would run Facebook ads, and both are very different than how you would run Google search ads. So keep that in mind. Could you do Google ads study? I suppose we could. I'd probably have to bring someone else on the channel to do. So the question here is could you do a Google ads case study for a different country besides the US? I cannot, because we only take on US-based clients at the moment. I could probably find one of my colleagues that could help us with an overseas client, probably UK or Australia, maybe Europe, something like that. We just stopped taking on clients outside the US for a number of reasons. Going back a couple of years, mainly I started having kids. I've got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and the overnight hours, plus or minus, so earlier, and then with Australia, or I should say earlier for UK and Europe, and then God knows what time it is in Australia. Those hours just became really tough for us to manage from a support perspective. So we ended up pulling the plug on it. I refer anything overseas to a couple of my buddies that do good work, both white label or direct to business owner. So if you do need that, just let me know. Just submit your information via one of the forms on our site and just ask, and I can set you up with a referral to a colleague of ours that might be able to help you out. So long story, long answer to say, unfortunately, I can't help you with a case study outside the US at this point. But what else you guys got? Drop a question into the chat. So I did a video yesterday. We just put it out today. If you haven't seen it. All right, some more questions. I'll talk about that in a sec. What are some good local niches to start out with? All right, so that's a great question. We've got a blog post and 2 videos on the channel. If you just Google PPC niches, you'll see one of our blog posts up there. It's 44 niches. Truth be told, it's actually more than 44 niches at this point because I just keep adding stuff to it. What I find is local and professional services tend to be best for Google local. This is not an exhaustive list. It's not an end-all be-all. It's just what we like working in. So roofing, plumbing, HVAC, junk removal, limo, doctors of all sorts. So cardiologist, pulmonologist, podiatrist, ear, nose, and throat, pediatricians, orthopedics, all sorts of lawyers, DUI lawyers, bankruptcy lawyers, divorce lawyers, duct cleaning companies. Picture companies that need the phone to ring for business, and then work through some of their numbers, work through their customer value and how often customers purchase from them, and see if it might make sense. So in addition to the blog post, on that blog post, there's actually 2 of our YouTube videos embedded. One is niches to target and then niches to avoid. And in those, I go through a framework that we use to help identify, who Google Ads is appropriate for. I'm going to layer on top of that one other thing that I get asked a lot, is usually the question after what niche should I go into, is what should my client's ad budget be? So when it comes to your Google ad budget, having a too small of an ad budget it'll have devastating effects on the campaign. If you have too small of a budget, it's like driving your car with the gas and the brake on at the same time. You'll get there eventually. It's just a super bumpy ride, and no one wants to be in that car. You're just herking and jerking around. You start, you stop. It's just messy. So what I like to do is I like to think of this magic ratio that no one talks about, and that's your average click cost to your daily budget. You want that ratio to be as wide as possible, because if it's got room in there to have multiple clicks, you can get multiple clicks per day, and you should be able to get a lead per day. Now, if you want many leads per day, just open up that ratio so that you can go out and essentially buy those clicks and market. These are auctions. So you've got to be able to buy those clicks. You've got to have enough of a daily budget in order to, number one, get the exposure, and then number two, be able to purchase that click. So we've got a video on the channel. If you just go to YouTube and search in Google Ads budget, just scroll down until you see this ugly face, and there's a video on there about the framework we use to identify a Google Ads budget for a client. I walk through a bunch of different examples of how we do it, how it might work, and that's it. It's pretty simple. I don't use, let me go on top of that. I don't use the planner. I don't use any fancy software to do it. I use keywords everywhere and Google search, and that's it. And I can identify a budget for a client in like a minute. Really simple. All right, Ed, run through conversion tracking. So conversion tracking, we use CallRail, which is a third-party call tracking platform. This allows us to identify not that a call just happened at a campaign level, but specifically which keywords are driving the calls. So if we know that calls are happening on the campaign level, that's great. But if we don't know the specific keyword that's driving those calls, then we're leaving money on the table. Once we're able to identify which of the keywords are actually driving phone calls, we can then start cutting the fat in the campaign and identifying losing keywords that are driving lots of clicks, but not necessarily the calls. And that's one way to trim the fat in a campaign. Other way is conversion tracking through form submissions. So you set up the proper conversion mechanisms in the campaign. Rob's done tons of videos on the channel on how to set that kind of stuff up. But between the two of those, that's all you need. And then we also get an additional call tracking number for the ad extension number. We get a lot of leads from ad extensions, so we track those as well. Good local niches, how to solve a huge drop in impressions. So a huge drop in impressions could be a couple different things. It could be a seasonality thing. It could be that a market's drying up. I'll give you a simple example. For snow removal, you'll see a spike during a storm, and then you'll see a drop off after. If it's a seasonality thing, that's you got to take that into account. So you can look through historical trends and see if that's the case. If that's not the case, what you would want to look at would be wanting to look at your bidding. So look at your device bidding, do some adjustments there, but then also go into the competitive metrics section and start looking at top of page impression share, the different impression share metrics you can look at and kind of see where you're at. Back in the day, I think it's probably about a year ago now, you used to be able to use your average position as a lever and just bid against that. So bid against your average position. As long as it was, like 2.5, somewhere in that range, you'd be fine. And maybe you need to crank it a little bit more. They've since removed that, making things a little bit harder. So now you've got to work a few different ways. Depending on how old the account is, you might want to look at one of the artificial intelligence bid strategies as well. But if you look on our channel, there's videos on different bid strategies, and there's videos on how to get found, essentially more impressions on Google. One other thing to note on impressions. Let's say you're getting impressions, but your click-through is terrible. It also could be because you're at the bottom of the page. That gets counted as an impression, but you're not going to get any clicks from it. So it's going to look like your ad copy is terrible and it's not effective. So if that's the case, you've got to layer in different impression share categories to see where you are on the page and then go from there. My problem is I get a ton of leads for my client, but none of them really converts into paying customers. The niche is roofing, located in Germany. Okay, so when you say you're getting a ton of leads for clients, I think of one of two things. Number one is, can this client sell? So if you are in Germany, I don't know about the rules in Germany, but in the US, we can record calls. So we can listen to these calls, and I can hear how the reception is intaking the call. Are they asking appropriate questions to qualify this person and to set an appointment? Or are they just a train wreck on the phone? And if they're really bad on the phone, just go into YouTube and type in appointment setting for a roofing business or something along those lines. And you'll find videos walking through how to qualify and set an appointment for the roofing space. There's videos on, and it doesn't need to be roofing. It could be any service niche, but you can take the ideas and apply them towards the roofing space. If that's not the case and the person on the phone is decent, what I find in the trades a lot of times what happens is you've got phrase match being an issue. So with the trades, so HVAC, roofing, plumbing specifically, a lot of those guys call themselves Jim's Plumbing or Jim's Roofing, Bill's Roofing, Danny's Roof Repair. All of those keywords would come up in phrase match. So, and thanks to Google, we no longer see that data within the search term report. They took away the phrase match info, so we don't get to see that goodness anymore. So, one thing you can do is scale back. If you're seeing that that's an issue, scale back to exact match, run it for a bit and see if your keyword quality picks up and if the lead quality picks up. If it's still not good, if you want to go back to phrase match, build out a really big negative list. What I would do is go on to Google Maps. Let's say you're in Frankfurt. I'd do roofing company Frankfurt, and I would pick all of the local roofing companies, and I would pick in the US here, at least they call themselves roofing company, roofing service, roof repair, but they modify it with something at the beginning of each. So I would take all those modifiers, Jim's, Danny's, Bill's, Storm, Triangle, whatever, add those into a negative list and then layer them onto into the negative list. And that helps clean up a lot of the phrase match problems. So I hope that helps. It's hard for me to give great advice here without more context, but those are the first two things I would look at. Are higher profit niches take more money to sell? No, not necessarily. The biggest thing I would say is how easy can you get in front of the business owner? So I prefer to sell into blue collar, more trades related things rather than attorneys if I had the choice, or doctors. I just feel like I relate better to that. I'm wearing a backwards hat and a hoodie. And if you guys see what I wear normally, that's just how I relate. What I find is the ability to get past the gatekeeper tends to be the bigger issue. How many layers are there until you get to a decision maker? So the doctor, there tends to be a number of layers. So you've got your front office, you've got your office manager or practice manager. Same thing you're going to find for a lot of legal practices. I find with the trades, some of them answer their phones direct, or it's maybe one level and you can get to them. So I just find it easier. But I can tell you, we can charge, let me answer this properly. Higher profits, are they harder to sell? No, I really don't think they are. And you know what's crazy is not only are they not harder to sell, they aren't necessarily harder to manage, if that makes sense. Most of sales is going to be in your head. Keep in mind, you are not your client. You're not the one stroking the check. So if they're a roofing company, they're writing those checks for the truck leases and for the hoist machine and for the $5,000 per job in labor and insurance and materials and everything else that goes associated with it. You're not the one writing those checks. So you're just not typically comfortable with writing large checks. But what you'll find is pricing more often than not is in your head and it's not in the client's head. I think some sales training would certainly help with that to alleviate a lot of those issues. Jordan Stupar's program is really good. His cash cards, I just mentioned earlier, it's a good product. The two sales books I mentioned earlier are good. The Claude Whitaker books, who I've had on the channel, he's very good. Pricing's in your head. Pricing's a mentality. Now, you don't want to be egregious with your pricing. You don't want to go on and charge $5,000 a month. It's all relative to the value you're going to provide to somebody. You could charge $5,000 a month. It just depends. It depends on what's the value you're providing to them. So you could charge more to a high-end commercial real estate broker than you could for a guy that does carpet cleaning that wants to do 10 additional clients per month. So it's all relative to the value you're going to provide to the customer. But keep in mind, most of it's going to be in your head. All right. Hey man, quick question. So my Google shopping campaign suddenly stopped getting conversions and it's been 3 weeks, no major changes. What do you recommend? If he's okay and Bing is still getting conversions. I have no idea. I don't do anything with Google Shopping or e-commerce anymore, so I am not your man for that. Manish, if you're in our old Facebook group, our buddy Kelly at Inbound Revenue now owns the group. Ask that question in his group, and he will be able to help you. He's really good with e-commerce. The art of the internet. Do you use smart shopping campaigns? Again, I'm sorry, man. I don't do anything with e-commerce. We really focus on local lead generation. So if you need the phone to ring for business, that's really where we shine. Can lower ticket clients perform better than higher ticket? More volume mean more opportunities to earn more money? Please explain. Yes and no. I mean, you could make a case for both. I mean, we work with a lot of real estate investors, and their average deal size, is going to be 10 to 100 grand, somewhere in that range. Very expensive cost per click, like 40 to 80 bucks per click. So having said that, we work with a ton of junk removal businesses and duct cleaning businesses and porta potty companies, stuff with really low click costs where you're going to need the higher volume. So you can do well with either. You can make money with either. It just depends. A lot of this stuff, when you're thinking about when you're out selling digital marketing, I think it's important that you get comfortable thinking of yourself as a marketing consultant and as a business consultant. I'm a big fan of Jay Abraham. I learned early on from all his stuff. His book right here, Getting Everything You Can Out of All That You've Got, I highly, 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 highly recommend it. It's an excellent book for wrapping your head around business growth through unconventional strategies that people don't often think about. And I think the more you think like that, and the more you think like a marketing consultant, not just someone managing PPC or selling PPC, the better off you're going to be for the client, the more value you provide to their business. Most people would think about it like, my job's, I'm here to just drive leads. But if you take it a step further and help them identify that they've got a problem with the person answering the phones, that they're not doing a good job screening the calls, or they're not doing a good job setting the appointments or selling the job or quoting it, or not even answering the phone or calling people back, and you get that information over to them, that's super valuable to them. That's a big lever for growth. So I hope that helps. Do you charge pay per lead or flat monthly? How would you start to get a new client in a niche? Give them the free lead, and if they are interested, more in the future. So I'm not a big believer in the pay per lead model with Google Ads. I like pay per lead when you've got an SEO'd property, a website that you've done SEO to that's generating leads. At that point, you've got a sunk cost. Whereas with Google, you've got a per lead fee. And with Google, you're going to get leads that get rejected for whatever reason. And I'm just not a fan of the economics, the math of pay per lead with Google Ads. So what we do is we run a flat fee model, and people pay for management, and that's it. Really keep it really simple. How would I get a new client? So we started a new niche company last year, and we started taking on clients two ways. One is cold calling, and two is direct mail. We had a couple clients in the industry prior through ClicksGeek, and the new agency we started, we literally started with those two strategies. So we weren't getting inbound leads. It was pure cold, direct mail, and cold calling. And I was just talking with Rob, my partner, earlier today. We're going to put out two products. One is the direct mail letter that we mail. Basically, we can go into any market with this direct mail letter and take in clients, and also our cold calling script, which we've gotten to work in 2 or 3 different markets. So for the letter, what I've done is I've templatized it, and I'm creating videos on how you can modify this letter to work in your niche. So it's going to be about a 10 to 15 video course, and it'll be kind of probably a couple $100 like the rest of our course pricing, nothing too extravagant. And then cold calling is going to be similar. It's going to be our cold calling script, how to modify it for your niche so you're speaking their language. And then also all of the objection handling, how you tie down for appointments. And we'll do some role playing in it and some recorded calls. We're going to put both those out. Probably direct mail on here, I'd say in the next week or two. And then cold calling one will be in January. So if I had to start over again, I would do exactly what we just did last year, which is cold calling and direct mail. Direct mail, we've gotten to work in podiatry, ENT, family law, junk removal, real estate investors, windshield or auto glass. I'd have to look, but we've sent a lot of direct mail over the years. And the letter we have now is really pared down as a single page. It's very simple, very cost effective to mail, and it works. So, all right, next question. Just secured a demo meeting. I'm located outside the United States, and I think the prospect might catch on my accent. Should I hire a sales rep, or is it in my head? I don't think so. It depends. I mean, if you can speak, I'm assuming it's English, whatever you said outside the United States. I think have a conversation with them first, see how it goes. You obviously did something right to spark their interest. The video I did today, or I did yesterday and released today, is actually about a sales process that we do. And it's a simple 2-part sales process. Part 1 of the sales process is to pitch and sell the audit. So we're not actually selling it, like physically asking for money for the audit, but what we do is I don't go for the sale on the first date. If they're an active advertiser, I want to look at what they're doing, and I want to be able to display expertise and knowledge by looking at their campaign and telling them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong and how to fix it. And it's a simple 1 or 2 page write-up, and there's a video on the YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and type in ClicksGeek Audit, you'll see a video that comes up, and you'll see it's really simple. It's 1 or 2 pages, but we've sold over 1,000 accounts since we've been open using this audit. Not all of them needed the audit, but anybody we audit, we use the same template. 1 to 2 pages, that's it. I don't put this on a Word doc. I don't put this in a PDF. I literally just email this to them. I don't get fancy with it. You don't need to get fancy with this. And in the audit, what you're going to find is everybody makes the same mistakes. Everyone makes the same campaign setting mistakes, the same keyword selection mistakes, the same bidding mistakes, the same ad group mistakes, the same call tracking, landing page, conversion tracking, everything. All of them are the same mistakes. And the more of this you do, the more you're going to see it's all the same. And now I don't copy and paste these reports. They are unique to the person, but what you're going to find is the language is all the same. Now, having said that, we specialize in Google Ads for lead generation. I don't work on e-commerce campaigns, so I can't speak to auditing that. That might be a more complex audit, but for lead generation campaigns, all we do is a 1 to 2 page thing, and that's it. It's really simple. Go into the meeting talking about that. That's what you want to do. And you can say to the guy, like, hey, listen, I don't know if you're right for me. I don't know if I'm right for you. I'd love to look at your campaign first so that I can speak intelligently about your campaign and make sure I can actually help you. The analogy I use in the video that we released is the doctor analogy. You don't go to the doctor and just ask for a shot or a cast on your arm. The doctor's first got to give you a screening. They've got to do a diagnostic. They've got to test you for certain things, depending on what the issue is. Then they diagnose, right? Or I'm sorry, they diagnose, then they prescribe. So it's you meet with the doctor, they do the diagnosis, then they prescribe the solution. Your diagnosis portion of this is going to be the audit. Not all of them are going to be able to give you the access you need. You are going to need actual account access to do that. And if they don't want to give you that, they're asking you to tell you whether or not you've got a broken arm without actually doing an x-ray and looking at it. There's another analogy. So the more doctor analogies you can layer on here, the clearer picture you can paint for them. I know I went on a big rant here about all this. I literally just released a video on this, and it's such a simple process. People overthink it. It doesn't need to be more complex than push for the audit more than a direct sale, because once you can go in and tell them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and then how to fix what they're doing wrong, you instantly become that authority figure, because you're displaying knowledge in their product, in their campaign that they don't have. So that's how we do it. That's how we always did it when we started, in 2015, when we had no clients. That's literally, I could talk to Rob right now and I could tell him the client it was and we'd laugh. But that's how Rob and I's relationship actually got started, was through an audit. I hired him to audit one of my prospective clients' campaigns. Long story, but all right. So I've been doing PPC for 3 years now, and it is stressful and hard. You think I could have a career as a generalist in marketing? If so, what position should I look for? Love the Q&A. Where did you say that sample audit is? Roger, if you just go to YouTube and type in ClicksGeek audit or Google Ads audit and just look for one of our videos, you'll see it in there. It's an audit checklist. It's really simple. Don't overthink it. Do I think you can make a career as a general? Do I think you can make a career in PPC? Yes, I'm living proof of that. You can do that. Do I think you can still have a career as a generalist? Yes, absolutely I do. Especially if you layer on additional services. So let me reread this question. Do you think I could still have a career as a generalist in marketing? My question to you, Manish, is do you own a marketing company, or are you a freelancer, or do you work internally at a company? I guess my answer applies to all of them, but yeah, the answer is yes. The more well-versed you become in marketing in general, the more valuable you become, just like anything else. The more well-versed you are, the more read you are, the more practical application, the more of a skill set you have, the more valuable you become. But your ability to communicate your value is super important. So I always go back to communication is key. Learning how to sell is key. My sales style is it's this straightforward. There's no hardcore closing. There doesn't need to be. It's simple. It's easy. It's non-pressure or no pressure. That's just how I sell, and I've always sold. And it doesn't need to be rock science. I'm not super polished. I never will be. I don't want to be. So just get good at talking to people. All right. So Manish said he works at an agency, maybe looking to become a generalist growth marketer or something. Yeah, man. Yes, absolutely. Do I think there's a career in marketing? Absolutely. More now than ever, people are clueless on how to generate leads online. Google's algorithms make SEO more and more difficult to those that don't understand it, and easier for those that do. And I think we're in very unique times, socioeconomically, health-wise, everything going on in the world right now with the pandemic and the economy. I think I'm an eternal optimist. I always think there's opportunity. So yes, I think there is opportunity. Do your clients just type in the billing information into Google Ads accounts that you manage so they can charge? Absolutely. So, all right. So I think it's Sunify. I'm just going to call you Sunny because I don't know how to pronounce that word. So Sunny, yes, I'm a believer that your client's card should be on file within the account. I'm a believer that it should be your client's Google Ads account, and you are a steward of that account. You're a steward of, you're the manager of the client's asset. You don't own the asset. That's how I believe the account should be managed. I have some clients that will get a lump sum payment from a client. Say, let's call it $3,500 for 5,000 total, $3,500 for ad budget, $1,500 for management. And that $3,500 goes into the client account. That client's then responsible for managing all of that. A couple reasons why I think that's a giant pain in the ass and not our best practice. Number one, there is not the same number of Monday through Fridays in every month. Okay. That sounds simple, but think about it. Like this, for example, we're in December of 2020, and this is a 5 Wednesday month. This is a 5-week month. Okay, so we get paid on Wednesday in our business. So we get paychecks every Wednesday. So this is a 5 Wednesday month. If you're taking on their ad budget, you've got to take into account that you've got to recalculate every month. Keep in mind that Google can overspend on your accounts at any given time, as long as they don't go super over for the month. But if you're in there fluctuating what the daily amounts are and screwing with the ad schedule, you're just opening yourself up to a pain in the ass and an exposure from an overspend perspective. That's number one. Number two, your client could charge back on you. And I know an agency partner or an agency friend of mine that got charged back like 20 grand. All of the ad budget the client had spent and like 2 or 3 or 4 months of management. And they got charged back all of it. And if you've ever dealt with a chargeback, that money gets sucked out of your account and you've got to claw and fight to get it back with the company and show them contracts and emails and paperwork and all sorts of shit. So not fun. I don't recommend it. My strong recommendation, how we always tell people is that is the client's asset. You're a manager of that asset. Their card goes on file. Just make it easier. Another way to describe it is it's not, your ad budget is not a day one expenditure. That money gets spent over the course of the month, or the money gets dripped out over the course of the month as the money gets spent. It's an easier way to sell it as well. So like, let's say your management fee is $1,000 and they're going to do $3,000 for ad budget. So you say, this is not a $4,000 day one expenditure. This is $1,000 today for management. And then over the course of the month, typically in batches of 400, as the money gets spent, your account will get debited. And that's how we describe it to people. I see Dustin Miller, PPC Pros. So if you guys are looking for anything e-commerce related, Dustin Miller, the PPC Pros who just entered the chat, is an e-commerce stud. And if you need anything from him, he's awesome. Dustin's a buddy of mine. Let's see here. He's got a YouTube channel, actually, the PPC Pros. And there are some e-commerce videos. I interviewed Dustin on our channel here, I don't know, like 6 months ago or so ago. So I think it was Monish who was asking the e-commerce questions. He's your guy to chat with. DL Digital Tutorials. Hey, I'm watching from Italy. I am so new in digital marketing and I want to pursue a career. Someone as a novice like me, where should I start? I already finished courses. Where would I start? Well, I would watch the last 2 or 3 videos we just did on the channel, talking about Google Ads certification. So I think it was the last 2 videos. So certainly the last one, which was selling Google Ads, our simple 2-step process. And then I think it was the one before that. If you're new and you want to sell Google Ads, what I would suggest is, at least to start, find a family member or local colleague or someone that you know that's running a business and is running Google Ads, and ask them to audit their campaign and see what you can do to help them. Go that approach. If that's not the case, you don't have anyone like that, start networking within Facebook groups or local groups or LinkedIn, or go door to door, or cold call, or send direct mail letters. I mean, there's literally an endless way to generate a foot in the door to have a business conversation. And then from there, what I would do is sell an audit. You want to audit what's going on. You take the approach that you're the doctor and you want to help diagnose a problem with their campaign so that you can identify what the issue is and then fix it for them. So that's our sales process. It's really simple. 2 parts. Part 1, push for the audit. Part 2, once you've identified the problem, sell the prescription. Prescribe you as the solution to their problem. That's it. We've sold 1,000 accounts doing that, over 1,000 accounts since we've been open, and that's it. 2-part process. Dustin, what's up, man? Did I cut off before? I was singing your praises. I was saying you were the e-commerce guy. What else you guys got? What other questions do you have? You guys have anything else? Hey, Dustin, I don't know if you weren't on earlier. I'm 3/4 of the way through this book. If you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend it. It's Systemology. The guy used to own, or maybe still does, I think it's SEO Melbourne or Melbourne SEO, big agency down in Australia. Awesome book. Cool. You guys got anything else? So this is my first real long live. I did a live yesterday that was like 90 seconds. Bit of a mess, but this one I think went a lot better. Hopefully you guys are getting value out of it. I enjoy it. I love answering people's questions. Is that book available on Amazon? Yes, it is. Yep, this book's available on Amazon, and then this book. This handsome gentleman here, One Call Closing. This is the guy I was telling you about, Claude Whitaker. He's got, I think, 4 books. One Call Closing is an awesome book, but he's got one specifically that I think would be more applicable for a starting out freelancer, and that's selling local advertising. A lot of what he talks about in that book he covers in this book, and it's applicable exactly to what we do. And what you'll find is a lot of the ways you sell with Google ads, you could also sell SEO services, you could sell Facebook ads, you could sell websites. So just getting comfortable having those kind of conversations is really important, especially if you're going to be freelancing or opening up an agency. What is your average client retention length for PPC? That's a great question. I'd say in the white label, it's probably like 8 months. And on the retail where we actually sold the client, I would say a year plus. I'd have to identify it, but much longer. And the reason for that is I didn't, on the white label side of things, I didn't set the expectations. I didn't sell the deal. So I don't have that relationship. I don't know how expectations were set. So I would say on our retail business, it's significantly longer. What was I going to say to that? One thing about retention, you're going to find you have some clients for years, and then other clients, you knock a campaign out of the park and they're gone in 30, 60, 90 days. It happens. One thing I talk about in 2 of the videos, setting expectations video that we have on the channel, and then also the PPC niches to target video, is finding businesses that are good at business. That sounds cliche, but the better structured the business is, the more legitimate the business is, the more training they do, the better off they're going to be as a client. The more legitimate they're as a client, the easier they're going to be to work with, because they have systems in their business to build and scale and take on new business, as opposed to chucking a truck. A single guy with a truck that is a roofer or a junk removal or a plumber or even a solo practitioner, divorce attorney, or whatever. They're harder to keep as clients because everything is on a razor's edge. Everything is a make or break for them because they're dealing with much less room for error, because they just don't have as much revenue, as much marketing budget, as much anything. So as you're looking for clients, the more established client is going to be typically easier to work with. Now, that's not a one-size-fits-all answer. It's just kind of a, based on experience. I know Dustin and I have talked about this kind of stuff before in the past. Some guys scale and some guys don't. I'm pretty sure Dustin's had clients that continue to spend the same exact amount they've always spent, and it is what it is. And then you've got guys that surprise you and spend through the moon. It depends. Do you do mental health services? We do. We've done some psychology stuff. We've done there's a treatment, I can't think of the name of it, for depression, not shock therapy, but it's some sort of another treatment. We've worked in that niche several times. Can't think of what it's called at the top of my head. We've worked with physical therapists. We've worked with all sorts of other medical fields. Worked with chiropractors. One thing I'll say is the more you get towards the fringe, the more difficult Google gets to work with. So I'll give you an example. Not physiologists, but naturopathic doctors and people more on the fringe. Google cracks down on them. I don't even know if they are even allowed to run ads at this current state, but as of like last year, they were difficult to get and keep campaigns live. Google is flagging them left and right. So all sorts of needle therapies and aromatherapy doctors and all sorts of naturopathic doctors, they just became difficult to work with. So as of like a year ago, we had stopped taking them on. I don't know if they're still in play or not, but went off on a little tangent there. Hey, Trey, Nene, thank you very much, man. Fuck you as well. That wasn't very nice. What's up, Nathan? Do you guys offer other services? For example, if I help a client with Google text ads, suddenly they ask about shopping ads or Facebook. So we don't, but I'll give you an example. Like you threw out there, need help with a Facebook pixel. What we find is a lot of our clients want to do Facebook retargeting, which is totally fine. We don't offer it as a service, but email us the code and we'll get that installed onto the page. One thing I will say, if you are going to handle infrastructure for them, so let's say it's your landing page, it's your call tracking, that kind of stuff. Find out where they plan on sending that retargeting traffic, because if they're going to be sending it back to your assets, that's going to potentially inflate some of your costs, like call tracking, for example. So if that's the case, they may need to pay you a little bit extra per month to handle that. Typically, the way we do call tracking, it's like an extra $15 a month. That's kind of what we budget for it. It's well worth it. It's a make or break thing in there. We will not take on a client if we're not able to track phone calls, because it's just a disaster. So hope that helps. Brett, what's going on, man? You got anything I can help with? Cool. What else you guys got? All right. Uptown. I have about $500 to put towards Google Ads for my salon advertising business. Is that a good budget to start with, or do you need a lot more money? Okay. So I'm assuming you want to spend $500 advertising your salon advertising business. If I had $500, I probably would not spend it on Google Ads advertising that business. What I would probably do is go buy One Call Closing and go buy the Selling Local Advertising book and the Power Phone Scripts book that I talked about by Mike Brooks, who I interviewed on the channel as well. And then I would probably send direct mail if I had $500 to spend. The reason I don't recommend $500 in Google Ads is because that's roughly what is that, $20 a day, $25 a day if you're on a Monday through Friday, which is peanuts in the grand scheme of things. Some clicks within the marketing space are going to be $25, 10, 20, 30, $40 a click. So it's not really an appropriate budget, and it's also going to be an expensive, you've got, would I rather spend $500 to send out 350 pieces of direct mail, or get a couple dozen clicks and try it that way? Now that's you doing that. Us doing that might be different because we also have lots of experience doing it and years of experience doing it. So I don't mean to crap on the idea. I'm talking about what I would do if I had $500, and take it for what I just said a moment ago. When we just started the new business, what did I do? We did cold calling and we did direct mail. So cold calling, for $500, you can create a list and or buy a list, and you can get a cold calling dialer software for $30 a month that auto dials, so you can speed through and call people a lot faster. And you could also send direct mail with that. So I would probably spend that on cold calling and direct mail or cold email rather than a Google Ads campaign. So I don't mean to poo-poo on the dream. I wouldn't do it, because part of the thing is I'm assuming that you don't have a super polished website that's got tons of social proof on it for the salon advertising business on where to send that traffic back to. So getting the clicks isn't necessarily the hard part. It's getting those clicks to convert, and that's what I fear would be an issue. Cold calling is a great skill to learn. If you can master cold calling, you can take on clients. I don't want to say on demand, but you can build a predictable system. If you look at all the big Fortune 500 companies, all the big tech companies that scale to the moon, they all have cold calling divisions. I've said this one a bunch on the channel. HubSpot, which is like the mecca of inbound marketing software. All they do is sell software to help you with inbound marketing, inbound organic traffic, and they've got a huge outbound sales team that cold calls all day. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what would. Christian, guess I got a new book to. Nice. Chris Voss's book is awesome. Never Split the Difference is an awesome book. Actually, I just got masterclass with my brother. They were doing some buy one get one special, so we got a masterclass. I'm going to go through his negotiating course probably over the holiday break. I liked his book. What else you guys got? What about DMs to get clients? Does Instagram also work, or does that look? No, man. DMs work. You got to be careful with it. You don't want to get your account flagged. But you could check out Gary Vaynerchuk's. He's got I'd have to find it. But it's basically a presentation that he did on how he took, I think it's like 5 pieces of content and turned it into 100 pieces of social content. So Instagram stories, Instagram post, Facebook image, Facebook story, Facebook post, YouTube video, and it basically just runs through the gamut of how they spliced up this little bit of content and just spread it out, and talks about the use of hashtags and all that stuff. That might be an approach you want to look at. If you just look up Gary V content strategy or content syndication or something like that, you'll be able to find the pitch deck. Or it wasn't a pitch deck, it was a presentation deck. So I would look that way. Yeah, DMs I think are fine. You're going to get some pissed off people, but I think you also get some receptive people. A lot of it's in the messaging. If your messaging is on point, then and you have that message to market match, it becomes much less spammy. But if you're doing the same stuff that everyone else does and just spamming people on every other platform, it's going to get old quick, and you're going to get some pissed off people. So our direct mail method and our cold calling method is a little bit different spin on it, and it's really effective. I know Dustin, we were on a call a couple weeks ago going through cold calling strategy. I'm curious to hear if you'd implemented that and how it's working so far. But it's that's the approach I would take if I had to. What metrics do you inform the client on? I think your white label service has an online dashboard. So we actually don't have a dashboard. So you would have the dashboard. You would create what's called an MCC account. Stands for My Client Center. That's where you're actually going to move your client account into. So think of that as your Google Ads agency dashboard. That's where all of your clients are going to be housed. So you log into that and you see all of your clients. We do weekly reporting that come over via PDF on Monday mornings. And then we do a CallRail sub-account login where you can actually log in and look at all the call activities. And some clients, we house their form submissions in there as well. So not a dashboard per se, but you have 3 things to look at. You've got your MCC, you've got your CallRail sub-account, and then you've got the actual PDF reporting that will go out weekly. That's what you're going to look at. On a macro level, they're going to look at the leads. They're going to look at the phone calls and the form submissions. At a reporting level, you're going to look at campaign-wide stats. You're going to look at clicks, cost per click, total number of clicks, total number budget spent, click-through rate, conversion rate, number of leads, things like that, some basic stuff. If you look through our white label guide on our site, there's an example report in the white label guide that you can take a look at, and that'll give you an example of what that would look like. If you don't want to do that, just go to YouTube or go to Google and type in Swidoo example report PDF or something like that, and it'll pull up an example of what that would look like. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Nathan. Or I appreciate your business for buying the course, and I appreciate um, you know you being on the channel and subscribing. I just called you Nathan, Nathaniel. My bad. What else we got? Dustin, keep calling, man. You're gonna have a lull right now between now and New Year's, where business owners are in the office, and so what I'm talking about right now is Dustin just wrote that trying to get appointments, but too close to the holidays. What I would recommend is keep going. Right now, you've got people that are working but not working, kind of like shadow working. And the ability to get a decision maker on the phone right now is going to be a lot easier. They're going to push you off, but you just need to overcome that objection better. But I think getting a hold of someone now, it might be a little bit easier than come January 4th, which is the first Monday of the year. A lot of people are sleeping on making quality video. I think videos like this Q&A. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Uptown. Do you guys handle onboarding for your clients brought by white label clients? Yes. So yeah, we do all the onboarding. The only thing we don't do is actually talk to the clients. So the way our onboarding process works, and it would be the same if you were a retail client or an agency bringing us a client. We send over an email. In there is a payment link and a questionnaire. Questionnaire is simple stuff like, let's say you're an agency bringing on the client. What's your MCC number? What's your email for reporting? What's the email you want us to use for your CallRail sub-account for the agency level? Can you confirm that you added your client into your MCC account? What's the client name, client's ad number, website, email address to send leads to, phone number to send leads to, geo-targeting, ad schedule, ad budget, niche that we're targeting, anything pertinent I should know. You guys think I've done this a couple of times? And that's it. This is not on the local level. This does not need to be rocket science. You do not need some 15-page personality report to help you identify the unique customer persona to buy blah, 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 blah. This is pretty straightforward stuff. The stuff that we sell and we tell all of our partners to go sell is for local businesses, and it's pretty straightforward. Our goal and our promise to our partners and our clients is once you've onboarded, we will have you live in market in 2 to 4 business days. That's what we want. That's the time frame we're shooting for, because we know that local businesses are not made of money. They need their money to be in play working for them. And we know we're on the clock. They're on the clock. You're on the clock. So we want that revenue coming in as fast as possible. So our desire is to get you in and out of onboard as fast as possible to get you advertising in market. Right now I'm doing good on LinkedIn with the holidays. That's awesome. What's your, Christian, are you selling SEO services as well, or just strictly PPC? And if you're doing PPC, is it Google ads or Facebook ads? What are you selling? What else you guys got? You guys getting ready for the holidays? Who's taking a break? Who's packing it in? Who's going to keep pushing through? We do all web design, PPC, social. Nice. Awesome. Very cool. So here's a question I get a lot. How should I price my services? So we've got a video on the channel called PPC Pricing Models. I would recommend watching that if you're new and you need some help on that. Christian says he does web, SEO, PPC, social. So the way he's going to price his services is likely going to be different than the way someone like me is going to price my services. We offer Google ads. That's it. That's all you're getting from us. That's all I want to sell. I do not want to sell SEO. I do not want to sell social. I do not want to sell anything else. We've got a dialed in back end fulfillment system, and that's all I want to sell. That's all my partner wants to sell. That's what we do. Now we charge a rate and we make money on that. Christian selling web, SEO, PPC, social is likely going to sell as a bundled package. And the PPC of that is going to be a piece of that and a piece of the profit margin. He does not need to sell PPC at such a high rate. That's a standalone thing because it's a blended thing. So you got to keep that in, you got to keep your pricing in mind as you figure out your model, what you're going to internalize in terms of fulfillment, what you want to do in-house versus what you want to outsource. You've got to make sure your margins are good enough that it would make sense. Like, for example, let's say you're selling to local roofers. Your package has got to be big enough. If you're going to outsource PPC and outsource SEO, your PPC, your fees have got to be big enough to, as us for an example. Now you could use whoever. I'm just throwing out our numbers because that's what I know. We charge $750 month one and then $450 a month thereafter. So your fees got to be able to support $450 a month, and for you guys to still make money and outsource your SEO services. So let's say your SEO services are $500 a month. So you've got $950 in outsourced costs before you take on any profit. So, or any type of margin. So, you've got to be at 1,500, 2,000, 2,500, 3K, somewhere in that range. So you're making enough to support your business. You don't want to be doing this for slivers. You got to be doing this to make a significant income so that it makes sense for you to put in all the effort it takes to do this. So I hope this, that little rant helps, but just important things to talk about. Math is important here. The numbers have to make sense. You don't want to be doing things for peanuts, because at some point you're not going to be the one physically doing the work yourself. You're going to have other people doing it for you. So your rates have to be big enough to support that, whether you hire it or you outsource it. Scalability matters. Absolutely. Websites are a pain in the ass. Absolutely. The beauty of that is there's plenty of companies you can outsource web design to. There's plenty of companies you can outsource PPC to. Doesn't have to be us. There's tons of others. There's companies out there that you can outsource pretty much anything you could think of. If you just Google whatever it is in white label or reseller, you'll find examples. So white label SEO or SEO reselling, or website reseller, or website white label, or Facebook ads or social ads or Instagram ads, white label or resell. You'll see tons of examples. You can also get white label platforms for marketing automation on the back end, something like High Level. You can get white label call tracking, something like Call Rail layered on with some sort of white label. So there's tons of different ways to make money through all this, with the middleman method, if you will, where you kind of piece things together and make a blended margin across all of it. Yo, these lives are fire. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is the second time I ever went live, so I honestly, I don't know when I'll do it. I'm enjoying it, so maybe we could pick a time and schedule these, but I'm in. Average PPC that you wouldn't compromise on in competitive location and niches. Example of turning. Average PPC that you wouldn't compromise. Roger, I don't know what you're asking in that question. Can you rephrase that question? The question about average PPC that you wouldn't compromise or comprise. I don't know what you mean. Ask that question again. Jacob. Hi, I'm interested in learning PPC, but I have little no experience. I'm currently working B2B sales, cold calling. Where do you think I could start by learning and making money in PPC? Awesome. Well, welcome to the dark side. You're in an interesting situation in that your core skill set is cold calling. Cold calling is a valuable tool, valuable skill set in this, believe it or not. If you can cold call and set appointments and and get clients, you're way ahead of the game, because you could always outsource the fulfillment of it. More people struggle with the sales side of it than they do with the actual fulfillment side of it, if you believe that. So what I would say is Selling Local Advertising by Claude Whitaker. Like I said earlier, I would pick up his book. This is the one called Closing, but get his book. It's Selling Local Advertising. As far as learning Google Ads, if you go through the last couple of videos we have on the channel about getting your Google Ads certification, that will walk through how to become Google Ads certified. It'll take you a couple hours to do. See you, Dustin. It'll take you a couple hours to do, and it's pretty simple. It's nothing earth-shattering. And then from there, just go onto YouTube and learn. We have hundreds and hundreds of videos on this channel. walking through how to build campaigns from scratch, how to optimize live campaigns that we have, examples of winning campaigns that are just crushing it. Then you can actually see in the trenches what's working, what's not working, what good campaigns actually look like, how to set things up. So, Jacob, I think you have a leg up more than you realize, being that you're in a B2B environment cold calling now. If you continue with that skill set and shift that towards this, and then learn the back end, I think you'd actually get more value out of my videos on the channel than my partners. My partner is more on the AdWords side. I'm more on the agency side. Jacob, you're going to want to learn things like how to set expectations for the clients, how to set Google Ads budgets, like how to recommend what they spend, niches to target, niches to avoid, getting comfortable with the lingo. And then you could crush it. If you're doing sales already, all you got to do is just kind of refocus towards this and be off to the races. So get competent enough with it, and then structure your rates in a way that you can outsource it. And that's what I would recommend doing. In fact, that's what I do. I don't outsource it, but I don't actually manage these campaigns myself anymore. It's all Rob. And that side of the business. I'm front of the house. He's back of the house. So I'm not in the day-to-day of these campaigns anymore. So hope that helped. All right, Roger, average PPC budget that you would compromise on in a competitive niche and location. I don't know exactly what you're asking. I think you're asking like, what would the minimum budget I would be comfortable with in a competitive market? What I would do is go to YouTube and type in Google Ads budget, and then just scroll down until you see my face. I think we're like the third or fourth video on there, and it's Google Ads budget. I think it's what should my Google Ads budget be? I recommend watching that video because that gives you the framework on how we recommend budgets to clients. And it's a really simple framework. It just walks through using Keywords Everywhere plugin. I look at what the click costs are. I do quick math, and I say, this is what I recommend budget-wise. That's it. You don't need to go more complex than that. That's it. Really simple. Does not need to be more complex than that. Uptown. Do you believe in giving people free trials in digital marketing, or should everything be charged up front? Thoughts on this? We've done both. We don't do free trials anymore. We did it in one niche because our campaign was complete fire that it was so easy for us to do well right out of the gate in one particular thing. But we stopped doing it because we found it attracted the wrong type of client that was more freebie seeker than people that were really looking to grow their business, if that makes sense. So we don't do it anymore. Everything we do is paid. Just like you wouldn't go to the restaurant and or you wouldn't go to a salon. Actually, that's not a good example because you do pay for it after it's done. You don't go to a car dealership and buy a car, go and then drive it for a month and then write them the check to pay for it, if that makes sense. So we don't do that. We don't do free trials anymore. Everything we do is paid. And yeah. And since you're going to be in a niche, in one particular niche, nail salons, for example, I would recommend finding someone that you could do their work for free, so you could build a case study. So let me preface that with, that's not what I was just talking about, free trials for everybody. What I'm saying here is do it for free so that you could use them as a case study. So build out a dominant campaign that does really well, and then have them give you a video testimonial, a glowing review, and you have a campaign with some success that you could use as a leverage point to leverage your way into more business. So I hope that makes sense. That's not a freebie. That's using that as a case study. Roger, do you guys stop cold email close to the holiday automated responses? We don't really run much cold email anymore. Did we run it during the holidays? I don't know. I'd have to go back. I'd have to ask my partner and the guy that was running it for us at that point and ask him. We would cold email and send direct mail right through the holidays. Because what you'll find is the business owners are still there, especially with the size of the companies that we're typically working with. They're there. and Susie at the front desk is not, or she's on, partial workday. So I think it's easier to get a hold of the business owner now. Do you guys stop cold email? Okay, I'm thinking about giving hair salons a free trial. Jacob, I love these videos and thanks for the advice. I'll begin my go with. Awesome, man. I'm glad it was helpful, man. Nathaniel, price can help weed out the biz that are scared to advertise cheap. Yep. So part of our the Google Ads budget video that we have, part of that is creating a minimum viable budget for the client. So if you, sorry, I'm losing my voice here. In the tech world, there's this thing called the minimum viable product. And what that is what's the minimum product we could build so that we can test it to make sure the market actually likes it before we go and spend millions of dollars creating product that's some dog shit product that no one actually wants. So what they do is they create what are called minimum viable products. Let's prove that the market actually wants what we have and they like it. And then once we've proven that, then we can build it up to scale and we can then put in all the bells and whistles. But we've proven it at that point. So it's a minimum viable product. I believe in a minimum viable budget. Okay. And the video that we have on the channel called Google Ads budget, I think, just type in Google Ads budget into YouTube and look down and you'll see my face. I believe I'm wearing a backwards hat in it. And on that video, I walk through how to come up with a minimum viable budget and a little filter to run things through, like a little framework, a little way that you're having a business conversation with yourself and say, does this make sense for this client? It's really simple. It does not have to be earth shattering. As you're going to find, we like simplicity. We like doing things simple. The way we create ad budgets is simple. The way we audit campaigns is simple. One thing you cannot deny is we've sold a shitload of this stuff over the last 5 years, going on 6 years now. So we have a very nice system for doing this stuff. It does not need to be the wheel does not need to be, I can't talk. The wheels do not need to be recreated in order to do this effectively and sell a lot of it. I hope that helped. What else you guys got for me? Anything? Here's what here's my next book. It's been sitting on my desk for a while. It's by Anthony Iannarino. I can never say his name right, but he's got a bunch of good sales books. He's got a really cool story. He was in a band for years and then went into the staffing agency world and got really good at sales, really good at B2B sales, and then went off into the sales training world. And I believe his staffing agency is still alive and well and growing and doing well. I like his other books. This book is about taking clients away from your competitors and winning more business. So I'm excited to read that one next. What else you guys got? Anything? Awesome. See you, Nathaniel. Have a great day, man. All right. I'm going to wait like another 30 seconds, 40 seconds. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'm going to wrap it up and hit the road. Let me know if you guys got anything. How big of a team do you guys have? 4 people. That's it. So it's me, front of house, and 3 in the back of the house. And what I will say is you do not need a large team if you have good internal back-end systems to grow a good-sized business. We're a Google Premier Partner agency, which means we hit certain revenue standards to be in that program, which means we sell a lot of their product, and then we hit performance standards. So we've got to hit. Basically, what it means is we generate a lot of revenue for Google, if you think about it in layman's terms, and it means we're efficient with the ad budgets we're entrusted with. We perform well. So you don't need that's the beauty of this industry. You don't need a giant sales team, and you don't need a giant back-end team to do a lot of this. And that's part of what we talked about earlier when we were talking about different services that we offer. We only offer one thing. We're a specialist. This is what we do. We don't offer SEO and Facebook and YouTube and shopping ads and Facebook retargeting. We offer Google lead generator, Google campaigns, Google search campaigns for lead generation. Our core clientele is local business. So doctors, roofers, lawyers, that kind of stuff. Shane, just stumbled on this. Thanks for your time on this. In a competitive market, how do you help a client improve quality of clicks and calls? First off, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tough question to answer without more context. What I would say is, when I think about Google Ads, I think there's 3 core levers that you can pull on to make massive changes in a campaign. First lever is keyword selection. Second lever is ad copy. Third lever is landing page. So are you converting the traffic at a high enough rate? So number one, are you getting the kind of traffic that you want? Are you enticing the clicks? Are you getting the clicks that you want? And are you converting that traffic at a high enough rate? So those are your big 3 levers. Now, having said that, there are a couple sub levers underneath each one that are at play here, but those are your core 3. In a competitive market, I'll give you an example. We're in one of the most competitive markets in the country for real estate investors. Click costs are $40 to $70, $40 to $80 per click. And you're dealing with a limited supply of clicks per market. Like, our clients get dozens of clicks per month in that. And we're able, because of how we write ad copy, we're able to get a high percentage of clicks, so high click-through rates. And then the landing pages we make are able to convert at high rates. So we're able to be efficient with the ad budget and yield as much from the campaign as possible. So if we go through those levers, those are the main things we're going to look for. If you want to go more granular than that, I would go on our channel and type in the search bar in the channel, look for optimizations or optimizing, and go through our optimization videos. I think we've got, probably 10 videos on optimizing campaigns, but there's also playlists on it as well. That'll go through more granular. That'll go through the stuff that we look at weekly and monthly and that we're looking to optimize and looking at the data, comparing that week over week. Those are probably the areas I would look at first. It's kind of a loaded question without more context, but that's how I think about it. It's your core 3. It's keywords, ad copy, and landing page to start at least. Yeah, I would say I like to think that I can come up with two cool concepts with Google Ads. It's the core 3. Your 3 big levers. It's your ad copy. It's your keyword selection, ad copy, and landing page. Your 3 levers. And then my other one I think I've come up with is the magic ratio, the golden ratio with Google Ads. And it's your daily click cost to your ad budget ratio. We use that to help determine appropriate budgets for clients. But that ratio also helps determine if a client's campaign is going to grind along and just do or take off like a rocket. So the Google Ads golden rule and then the core 3 are what I think are super helpful. Shane, if you want to shoot me an email with what it is, what the client is, what they do, I might be able to give you more insight, but kind of limited from the outside looking in without a little more context, but I hope that helps. Cool. What else you guys got? Anything else? We'll give it another like 30, 40 seconds. And then if I don't get anything, I'm going to jump. All right, guys. This has been awesome. I very much enjoyed this. That's it for now. I'm going to end the stream. I'm probably going to maybe pop in and try to do another one tomorrow. I had fun doing this. And then maybe we'll set something up where we do these at a specific time each week. So hope you enjoyed. That's it for now. Have a great day. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.